The big spaceship hung in the sky above Seoul. The sun could not be seen behind it. The city became dark in the middle of the day. People ran in the streets. They were scared. They did not know what was happening. The aliens called themselves the Grick. They looked like big bugs. They had 4 arms and sharp mouthparts. They came out of their ships and walked down the streets of Seoul. They said they came in peace, but that was a lie. June stood still on the street. He could not move. His 2 dogs, Dak and Neri, stood next to him. They were both German shepherds. They growled at the aliens. June had owned them since they were puppies. He loved them very much. Commander Vrax was the leader of the Grick. He made a speech that everyone on Earth could hear. Earth now belongs to the Grick, he said. Humans will work for us. You will give us your food and your medals. You will do as we say. Then Vrax said something that made June's heart stop. Dogs are bad animals, Vrax said. They use up good food. They serve no purpose. All dogs must be given to us. We will take them away. June looked down at Dak and Neri. They were not just pets. They were his family. He had to keep them safe from the aliens. I need to find Jin, June said to himself. Jin was his cousin. Jin worked at a science lab for the government. He might know what was going on. When it got dark, June took his dogs and walked through small streets. He tried to stay away from the aliens. The city felt strange now. The lights did not work right. Cars sat empty on the roads. No one was walking around. Seoul was always busy before. Now it was quiet. After walking for a long time, June got to Jin's home. Jin pulled him inside fast. Why did you bring dogs here? Jin asked in a scared voice. The Grick are taking all the dogs. They hate dogs. It's not safe. I could not leave them, Jun said. They would die. Why do the aliens hate dogs so much? Jin looked very serious. We don't know for sure, he said. But there is something about dogs that scares the Grick. We are trying to find out what it is. Jun and his dogs stayed with Jin that night. They could hear the aliens walking outside. They could hear people crying. The Grick were taking dogs away from their owners. They put the dogs in big boxes and took them to their ships. What are they doing with the dogs? Jun asked. I don't know, Jin said. But I don't think the dogs are going to a good place. Jun hugged Dak and Neri. I won't let them take you, he told his dogs. I promise. Jin turned on his computer. He showed Jun some pictures from the science lab. The pictures showed the inside of a Grick's head. There was something strange in there. It did not look right. The Grick are not what they seem to be, Jin said. There is something inside them. Something that controls them. And for some reason, that something is very afraid of dogs. Jun did not know what to do. He was just one person. How could he fight aliens? But when he looked at his dogs, he knew he had to try. He had to keep them safe. And maybe, just maybe, they could help save everyone else too. 3 months passed. The Grick now controlled Earth. They gave people food if they worked for them. People who fought back were taken away. No one saw them again. Most dog owners gave their dogs to the Grick. The aliens said the dogs would be sent to special farms. Jun knew this was a lie. Jun now lived underground with a group of fighters. They called themselves the Resistance. Jun had lost his home. The Grick had taken it, but he had kept Dak and Neri safe. They lived in an old subway station that the Resistance used as a base. The Grick did not go underground much. They did not like the dark. Jin came to the subway station. He had news. I found out something at the lab, he said in a quiet voice. The Grick are not just allergic to dogs. They are afraid of them. Afraid? But why? Jun asked. They have better weapons than us. They have spaceships. Why would they fear dogs? Jin opened his laptop. He showed Jun a video. It showed a scan of a Grick's brain. Look what happens when a dog barks, Jin said. When the bark sound played, the Grick's brain lit up. The pattern showed great fear. They are born with this fear, Jin said. It's in their brains from the start. Hana walked over to them. She was the leader of the resistance. She was smart and brave. This matches what we've seen, she said. When our scouts take dogs near Grick patrols, the aliens get confused. They can't think straight. But why take the dogs away? Jun asked. Why not just kill them? They are doing tests on the dogs, Jin said. They want to know why dogs scare them so much. A loud alarm rang through the subway station. A man ran in. The Grick found us. He shouted, They're coming. Everyone began to run. June grabbed Dak's leash. Hana took Nari. We will meet at the backup place, Hana said. Then she ran down a tunnel with Nari. June and Jin ran the other way with Dak. They could hear the Grick behind them. The aliens made clicking sounds when they ran. June, Jin, and Dak went up some stairs. They came out in a small street. It was night. We need to hide, Jin said. The Grick will be looking for us. They found an empty building. It had been a store before the aliens came. They went inside and hid in the back room. Dak stayed very quiet, like he knew they needed to be silent. If the Grick fear dogs, Jun said, maybe we can use that. Maybe dogs can help us fight back. Jin nodded. We need to do more tests, he said. But yes, I think dogs might be our best hope. They spent the night in the empty store. Jun thought about Neri. He hoped she and Hana were safe. He hoped they would find the backup place too. In the morning, they would try to get there. The sun came up. Jun, Jin, and Dak left the empty store. They had to be careful. The streets had many Grick patrols. They stayed in shadows and moved slowly. The backup place is 5 miles from here, Jin said. It's an old factory outside the city. They walked for hours. They had to hide many times when Grick passed by. Dak was very good at warning them. His ears would go up and he would stand still. Then they knew to hide. They got to a wide street. There was no way around it. They had to cross. They waited until no Grick were in sight. Then they ran. But halfway across, a Grick patrol came around the corner. The aliens saw them. Humans, stop. One Grick shouted, Give us the dog. Jun and Jin ran. But the street had been damaged in the invasion. Jin's foot got caught in a hole. He fell down hard. Go, Jin shouted to Jun. Take Dak and go. I'll hold them back. Jun did not want to leave his cousin, but he had to save Dak. The Grick would take the dog if they caught him. He ran down a side street. He could hear the Grick catching Jin behind him. Jun ran until he could not run anymore. He and Dak ended up by the river. They hid under a bridge. Jun cried. He had lost Jin. He had lost Neri. Now it was just him and Dak. What do we do now, boy? He asked Dak. The dog just looked at him with sad eyes. They rested under the bridge until dark. Then they started walking again. They had to reach the backup place. Hana would be waiting there with Neri. Maybe some other resistance members made it too. As they walked through the empty streets, Jun noticed something strange. When Grick patrols got close, they seemed to get nervous. They would stop and look around. Then they would go a different way. It was like they could sense Dak, but could not see him. They really are afraid, Jun whispered to Dak. They walked all night. By morning, they reached the old factory. It looked empty. Jun was careful. It could be a trap. He and Dak hid in some bushes and watched. After an hour, Jun saw a person look out a window. It was Hana. Jun ran to the factory. Hana let him in. Inside were about 20 people from the resistance, and with them was Neri. The dogs were so happy to see each other. They jumped and played. Jin? Hana asked. Jun shook his head. The Grick took him. They're taking all our scientists, Hana said. They want to know what we know about them. A loud noise came from outside. Everyone got quiet. Dak and Neri both started to growl. They faced the door. The door burst open, but it wasn't the Grick. It was a human, a man with no hair and strong arms. He looked around the room quickly. "Who are you?" Hannah asked. She pointed a gun at him. "The name's Jason Statham," the man said, "and I'm here to help you fight back." Everyone stared at Jason Statham. He was a famous movie star. What was he doing here, in a broken factory in Seoul? "Jason Statham, the actor?" June asked. He could not believe his eyes. "Yes, that's me," Jason said. "I was making a movie in Seoul when the aliens came. I've been fighting them ever since, and I see you have two very special dogs." Jason walked over to Dak and Neri. The dogs did not growl at him. They let him pet them. They seemed to like him. "How did you find us?" Hannah asked. She still did not trust him. "I've been tracking dog owners," Jason said. "The Grick are afraid of dogs, but not just any dogs. Pairs of dogs. Dogs that have lived together for a long time. Like these two." "Why?" June asked. "Because dogs can see what the Grick really are," Jason said. "And when two dogs work together, they can do more than just see. They can hurt the Grick." Jason told them what he had learned. The Grick were not really bug aliens. The bug bodies were just hosts. Inside each Grick was a small creature, like a worm. The worm controlled the bug body, and the worms were afraid of dogs. "Dogs can see the worms," Jason said, "even when they're inside the bug bodies. And the worms know this. That's why they want to get rid of all dogs." "So what do we do?" Hannah asked. "How do we use this to fight back?" "I've been working with a scientist named Sung," Jason said. "He's found a way to make the dog's effect on the Grick stronger. But we need his equipment, and the Grick have him." "Like they have Jin," Jung said. "Yes," Jason nodded. "They're holding all the captured scientists in one place, a big building in the center of Seoul. We need to break them out." "That's crazy," Hannah said. "The place will be full of Grick guards." "Not if we bring the dogs," Jason said. "The Grick can't function well when dogs are near. Especially pairs of dogs like Dak and Neri." They spent the day making plans. Jason showed them maps of the city. He knew where the guards were, where the weak spots were. He had been watching the Grick for months. "We go tonight," Jason said. "The Grick don't see as well in the dark." When night came, they left the factory. There were 10 of them. June, Hannah, Jason, and 7 other resistance fighters. And of course, Dak and Neri. They walked back into the city. It was dangerous, but they had to save Jin and Sung. As they got closer to the center of Seoul, they saw more Grick. But just as Jason had said, the aliens acted strange when the dogs got near. They would stop what they were doing. They would look confused. Some would walk away. "It's working," Jun whispered. They reached the big building where the scientists were held. It was an old government building. Now it had Grick guards all around it. There was no way to get in without being seen. "Now we use our secret weapon," Jason said. He pulled out a small device. "This will make the dog's effect much stronger." Jason put a small collar on each dog. The collars had little black boxes on them. "Some made these before he was caught," Jason explained. "They make the dog's effect on the Grick much stronger." June looked worried. "Will it hurt them?" he asked. "No," Jason said. "It just boosts what they can already do." Jason turned on the collars. Dak and Neri did not seem to mind them. They just looked at June with their big brown eyes. "Now we walk right in the front door," Jason said. "That's your plan?" Hannah asked, surprised. "Trust me," Jason said. "I've done crazier things in my movies, and this will work." They walked up to the front of the building. The Grick guards saw them coming. They raised their weapons, but then something strange happened. When the guards saw Dak and Neri, they started to shake. They could not hold their weapons steady. Some dropped them. "See," Jason said. "The collars work." They walked past the confused guards and into the building. Inside, more Grick acted the same way. They could not stop the humans. They just backed away, shaking. "They look sick," Jun said. "The worms inside them are trying to get away from the dogs," Jason explained. "But they can't leave their hosts easily." They went down to the basement of the building. That's where the prisoners were kept. There were many cells. In each cell was a human scientist. They found Jin in one of the cells. He looked thin and tired, but he was alive. They found Sung in another cell. "Jason," Sung said when he saw them, "you got my collars working." "Thanks to your notes," Jason said as he opened the cell. "They work perfectly." They freed all the scientists. There were about 30 of them. Then they started to leave the building. But at the main door, they found trouble. A big group of Grick were waiting for them. These Grick wore special helmets. They found a way to block the dog's effect. Hannah said, "We need to run," Jun said. "No," Jason said. "We need to fight." Jason was very good at fighting. He jumped and kicked and punched the Grick. The others fought too. But there were too many Grick. They were losing the fight. Then Dak and Neri did something strange. They stood side by side and started to make a sound. It wasn't a bark or a growl. It was a new sound, a humming sound. The sound got louder and louder. The Grick's helmets began to crack. The sound was breaking them. When the helmets broke, the Grick couldn't fight anymore. They fell to the ground, shaking. "Whatever they're doing, it's working," Jason shouted. "Let's go." They ran out of the building with all the freed scientists. They ran back to the factory outside the city. The Grick did not follow them. They couldn't. They were too afraid of what Dak and Neri could do. Back at the factory, Jin and Sung talked to each other for hours. They shared what they had learned about the Grick while they were prisoners. "The worms can't live outside their hosts for long," Jin told everyone. "They need the bug bodies to live, but they can move from one host to another. And they communicate using a special sound," Sung added. "A sound that humans can't hear, but dogs can." "So what do we do now?" Jun asked. Jin and Sung looked at each other. "We have a plan," Jin said. "A way to use the dogs to drive all the worms out of their hosts. But we need help. We need more dogs." For the next week, the resistance worked on the plan. Jin and Sung built more of the special collars for dogs. Jason and Hannah went out each night to find more dog owners who were hiding their pets. They brought them all to the factory. By the end of the week, they had 50 dogs. Big dogs, small dogs, all kinds of dogs. Each dog got a special collar. Each owner learned what they had to do. "The plan is simple," Jin explained to everyone. "The Grick have a main control center in the Soul Tower. From there, they communicate with all other Grick on Earth. If we can disrupt that signal, the worms will lose control of their hosts." "And how do we do that?" someone asked. "With the dogs," Sung said. "The sound they make when they work together can break the Grick's signal. But we need to get them to the top of the tower." It would not be easy. The Soul Tower was in the middle of the city. It was heavily guarded by Grick. They would need to fight their way in, get to the top, and hold it long enough for the dogs to do their work. "We'll split into 3 groups," Jason said. "Group 1 will attack the main gate to draw the guards away. Group 2 will sneak in through the back and secure the way to the top. Group 3 will take the dogs up to the top of the tower." Jun would be in Group 3 with Dak and Neri. Hannah would lead Group 1. Jason would lead Group 2. Jin and Sung would stay at the factory to coordinate everything. "What if it doesn't work?" Jun asked. "Then we keep fighting," Jason said. "What else can we do?" The next day, they moved into the city. They stayed hidden, moving in small groups. All 50 dogs and their owners, plus about 100 resistance fighters. They gathered near the Soul Tower, hiding in empty buildings. At sunset, they started the attack. Group 1 made a lot of noise. They shot guns in the air. They set off fireworks. They wanted the Grick to think a big attack was coming from that direction. It worked. Most of the guards ran to stop them. Group 2, led by Jason, used the distraction to get to the back of the tower. They fought the few guards left there. Jason was amazing in a fight. He moved like he did in his movies, fast and strong. They secured the back entrance. Group 3, move in, Jason said into his radio. June and the other dog owners ran to the back entrance. They entered the tower with their dogs. They found the stairs and started going up. There were 500 steps to the top. It was a long climb. As they climbed, they could hear fighting below. Group 1 was now attacking the front of the tower. Group 2 was holding the back entrance. Both groups were taking heavy fire from the Grick. Some of the dogs got scared by the noise. But Dak and Neri stayed calm. They seemed to know how important this was. They led the way up the stairs. When they reached the top of the tower, they found 5 Grick waiting for them. These Grick wore the special helmets that blocked the dog's effect. They had big guns. "Get down," Jun shouted as the Grick opened fire. Everyone dropped to the floor. The Grick's shots went over their heads. The dogs did not get down. All 50 dogs stood together. They began to make the strange humming sound. It got louder and louder. The Grick's helmets began to crack, just like before. "Keep going," Jun encouraged the dogs. "It's working." The sound from the dogs got stronger. The Grick's helmets cracked more and more. Then they broke completely. The Grick dropped their guns and fell to their knees. They started to shake all over. "Now," Jun shouted, "get to the control room." The dog owners ran past the fallen Grick. They entered the main control room at the top of the tower. Inside were many screens and computers. This was the heart of the Grick operation on Earth. There were more Grick inside, but they were already affected by the dog's sound. They couldn't fight back. The humans quickly took control of the room. "Jin, we're in," Jun said into his radio. "What do we do now?" Jin's voice came back. "Look for a big red panel on the main console. It should have alien writing on it." Jun found it. "Got it," he said. "Open it," Jin instructed. "Inside you'll find 3 blue crystals. Those are their communication cores." Jun opened the panel. Inside were 3 glowing blue crystals, just as Jin had said. "Now what?" Jun asked. "The dogs need to direct their sound at the crystals," Jin said. "The sound will change the frequency of the crystals. It will disrupt the Grick's control over all their forces." Jun brought Dak and Neri to the open panel. "Do your thing, boys," he said. The 2 dogs stood side by side. They looked at the crystals. They started to make the strange humming sound again. The other dogs joined in. The sound filled the room. The blue crystals began to pulse with light. On the screens around the room, Jun could see what was happening in the city. Grick soldiers everywhere were stopping. They were dropping their weapons. Some were falling to the ground. "It's working," Jun said into the radio. "The Grick are losing control." But then something bad happened. The door at the back of the control room opened. In walked Commander Vrax, the leader of the Grick. He wore a bigger, stronger helmet than the other Grick. He carried a large gun. "You think your animals can defeat us?" Vrax said. "We have conquered 100 worlds. We will not be stopped by pets." Vrax aimed his gun at the dogs. Jun jumped in front of them. "No," he shouted. Before Vrax could shoot, Jason Statham burst into the room. He had fought his way up the tower to help Group 3. He tackled Vrax to the ground. The 2 of them fought hard. Vrax was strong, but Jason was a skilled fighter. "Keep the dogs on the crystals," Jason shouted as he fought. "Don't stop." The dogs kept making their sound. The crystals pulsed faster and brighter. On the screens, more and more Grick were falling. The helmets on the Grick in the control room were starting to crack, even the big one on Vrax. Vrax threw Jason across the room. Then he turned back to the dogs. "I will end this now," he said. He raised his gun again. June didn't think. He just acted. He ran at Vrax and pushed him. Vrax's shot missed the dogs. But Vrax was much stronger than June. He grabbed June by the throat and lifted him off the ground. "Foolish human," Vrax said. "You will die for nothing." As Vrax held June, his helmet cracked more and more. The sound from the dogs was getting to him. Suddenly, his helmet split open completely. Vrax screamed. It was a strange, high-pitched scream, not like a Grick's voice at all. Then, the most horrible thing happened. Something came out of Vrax's mouth. It was long and thin, like a worm but with many legs. It was the real Vrax, the creature that had been controlling the bug body. The worm fell to the floor. It tried to crawl away. But Dak saw it. The dog ran from the console and caught the worm in his mouth. With one quick snap, he killed it. The bug body that had been Vrax's host fell to the ground, lifeless. Without the worm, it was just an empty shell. Part 8. The blue crystals were now pulsing so bright that it hurt to look at them. The dog's sound had changed them completely. On the screens, June could see that all over the city, all over the world, the same thing was happening. Worms were coming out of the Grick hosts. The bug bodies were falling, empty. "We did it," Jason said, getting up from where Vrax had thrown him. "We drove the worms out." But it wasn't over yet. The worms that came out of the Grick hosts were trying to find new hosts. They were crawling toward the humans in the control room. "Don't let them touch you," Jin's voice shouted from the radio. "If they get inside you, they'll take control of your body." Everyone backed away from the crawling worms. The dogs formed a circle around the humans, protecting them. Any worm that came too close was quickly killed by a dog. Then the blue crystals exploded. The force knocked everyone down. When June got back up, he saw that all the screens were dark. The power was out. "Jin," June said into the radio. There was no answer. The radios were dead too. "What do we do now?" someone asked. "We go back to the factory," Jason said. "We regroup and figure out our next move." They left the control room. The tower was quiet now. All the Grick were gone, just empty bug bodies on the floor. But the worms were still around, hiding in shadows, looking for new hosts. The dogs stayed close, protecting the humans as they went down the stairs. When they reached the bottom of the tower, they found Hannah and Group 1 waiting for them. "What happened?" Hannah asked. "1 minute the Grick were fighting us. The next, they all just fell down." "We did it," June said. "We drove the worms out. But now they're loose in the city." "The bug bodies are all dead," Jason added. "But the worms are still alive, still dangerous." They made their way back to the factory. It was a long walk, and they had to be careful. Worms were everywhere, looking for hosts. But with 50 dogs protecting them, they made it safely. At the factory, Jin and Sung were waiting. They had lost radio contact, but had seen what happened on their own screens before the power went out. "You did it," Jin said, hugging June. "You broke their control system. But now we have a new problem." Sung said, "The worms are free in our world. They will try to take human hosts now." "Can they?" June asked, worried. "We don't think so," Jin said. "Our bodies are too different from the bug bodies they're used to. But they'll try, and they might hurt people in the process." "So what's the solution?" Jason asked. Jin and Sung looked at each other. "We think the dogs can do more," Jin said. "We think they can drive the worms off Earth completely." Jin explained that the worms came from a planet where there were no dogs or anything like them. They chose Earth because they thought it would be easy to conquer. They didn't know about dogs. "The sound the dogs make doesn't just disrupt the worms' control over their hosts," Jin said. It also hurts the worms themselves. If all the dogs on Earth made that sound at once, the worms would have to leave. How do we get all dogs to do that? Hannah asked. There are millions of dogs on Earth. The Grick's own system, Sung said. We can use it to broadcast the sound. But we need to get back to the tower and fix the crystals first. It was a dangerous plan. The tower was full of free worms now. But they had no choice. They had to try. They rested for the night, and in the morning they went back to the city. The city was different now. The Grick bodies lay in the streets, empty and still. But the worms were everywhere. They crawled on walls and streets, looking for new hosts. Humans stayed inside, afraid to come out. June, Jason, Hannah, Jin, and Sung went back to the tower with Dak and Neri. They brought 10 more dogs for protection. They had to be careful. The worms would try to get them. At the tower, they found that the power was still out. We need to fix that first, Sung said. The broadcast system needs power. They went to the basement where the power generators were. Jin and Sung worked on fixing them while the others kept watch. The dogs kept the worms away. After an hour, the lights came on. Good, Jin said. Now we need to get back to the control room and fix the crystals. They went back up the tower. In the control room, they found the broken blue crystals. Can you fix them? Jun asked. Not exactly, Sung said, but we can make them work one more time for our broadcast. After that, they'll be dead forever. Jin and Sung worked on the crystals. They put them back together as best they could. They reconnected them to the Grick's broadcast system. Now we need the dogs, Jin said. Dak and Neri need to make their special sound into this receiver. It will send the sound all over the world. All dogs who hear it will join in. June brought Dak and Neri to the receiver. Do it, boys, he said. Make the sound. The 2 dogs stood side by side. They looked at June, then at each other. Then they began to make the strange humming sound. The sound went into the receiver. The fixed crystals began to glow. On the screens that were working, they could see what was happening. The sound was being broadcast everywhere. Dogs all over the world were hearing it, and they were joining in. Millions of dogs were making the same sound. The effect on the worms was immediate. They began to move faster, to climb up walls, to head toward the sky. They were trying to get away from the sound. It's working, Jin shouted. They're leaving. The worms were crawling up to the highest points they could find. Then something amazing happened. The Grick ships that had been sitting silent since the control system was broken suddenly started up again. The worms were controlling them directly now. The ships began to lift off. They opened their doors. The worms crawled inside. They were leaving Earth. They're running away, Hannah said. They're scared of our dogs. Within hours, all the Grick ships had left Earth. The worms were gone. The dogs had saved the planet. In the days that followed, people came out of hiding. They began to clean up the mess the Grick had left. They burned the empty bug bodies. They fixed the damage to their cities. And they gave their dogs the best treats and toys they could find. June took Dak and Neri back to his apartment. It was damaged, but it was still home. As he sat on his couch with his dogs beside him, there was a knock at the door. It was Jason Statham. I'm heading back to Hollywood, Jason said. Now that the aliens are gone, I can finish my movie. Thank you for everything, June said. We couldn't have done it without you. Jason smiled. No, we couldn't have done it without them. He pointed to Dak and Neri. They're the real heroes. Dogs have always been man's best friend. Now we know they're also our best protectors. After Jason left, Jun hugged his dogs. Good boys, he said. The best boys. The world would never be the same after the Grick invasion, but it had learned an important lesson. Dogs were more than just pets. They were guardians against threats humans couldn't even see. And if the worms ever came back, the dogs of Earth would be ready for them.